The thing about happiness is you only know you had it when it's gone. I mean, you may think to yourself that you're happy, but you don't really believe it. You focus on the petty bullshit or next job or whatever. It's only looking back, by comparison with what comes after, that you really understand that's what happiness felt like.
This 30-second snippet of dialogue was by far the best part of Fallout 4. The first time I heard him say this, I felt my shoulders begin to tense up and a chill went down my spine. Kellogg is the most well-written character to ever come out of a modern-day Fallout game. This is a man that put the protagonist through a living hell, murdering their spouse before their very eyes, without even the slightest sliver of human remorse. It was just another job that needed to get done.
I'm glad I didn't have to kill the kid. I'm not saying I haven't done it, but I never like to. And yeah, I guess it did remind me of her. Yeah, I'm a cold-hearted bastard for sure, but still human.
Kidnapping your newborn infant and indoctrinating him into this post-apocalyptic cult that essentially plays God by creating these synthetic humans. Well, throughout the game, you traverse this foreign, radioactive wasteland with only one primal instinct in mind: revenge. A bullet through this psychopath's bald head, just like he'd done to the parent of your child. But when you listen to this quote, that's when everything finally settles in. This was the man you killed. Me? I'm a person that spends a lot of time in my own head, thinking and reflecting. And to say this quote resonated with me would be an absolute understatement. This video will be less so about Kellogg as a character, but rather my own interpretation of his view about happiness. And I agree that there's a lot in life we actually take for granted, like being able to wake up and enjoy the taste of freshly brewed coffee, just the right amount of sugar and creamer, having a significant other that loves you with all their heart, or friends that never fail to make you smile or laugh over the dumbest shit. The little things really do add up. A good example of this would be in the movie Zombieland, right? You're watching the decline of human society and the world is infested with these bloodthirsty monsters. But Tallahassee is able to find a temporary joy in something as simple as just savoring a Twinkie, right? The world realistically never got any better. This is a man who lost his son and is never getting him back. But despite all that, he's making the most of what he has. And in a more practical case, right? There's a lot of shit we stress out over. Sometimes we tell ourselves, I'd be happier if I made more money, or I'd be happier if I got a promotion at my job, or if I was more popular and had more friends. We fall into this trap of thinking about what could be instead of enjoying what we have right now in the moment. And you really learn that the hard way when everything gets taken away from you, sometimes before you even have the chance to react. From my own personal experience, I know there's a lot of truth in this, and it's honestly been one of my biggest motivators. When I was about 15, each day felt like, for me at least, a growing battle against despair. Ever since my mother had passed away, I was trapped in a family that really wanted nothing to do with me. Even now, we're like strangers around each other. I'd face constant scrutiny, never feeling like I was good enough. sometimes things would get physical and police had to get involved. I grew up very isolated, barely knew how to talk to people, and I'd always be told everything was my fault because I was just never in this position where I could defend myself. One of my childhood idols growing up was actually Phoenix Wright from the Ace Attorney series. In my eyes, he was a person that embodied strength. No matter how often things were stacked against him, he'd hold his ground and turn every situation around, very vocally defending his clients that were depending on him to save them from these cases where they were often framed. They felt completely powerless in these situations. And 15-year-old me wanted to be just like him, right? I even wanted to be a lawyer for a bit. But that was a line of work that was very much out of my element. I tried taking a speech and debate class, actually. And even though my speeches were very well thought out, even though the few times I was able to actually present, I'd gotten very good grades, I was dealing with a crippling anxiety I did not know how to handle. And there were days I'd call off school because I didn't have the strength to force myself through it. And eventually this all kept building up to the point where I decided I didn't want to keep living. Despair had won, and I didn't feel like I had any hope in being able to create a clean slate for myself. And then I was taken away from school, from home, and essentially forced into psychiatric care for about a year. A year that I'm never going to get back. You'll notice that I listed off really nothing but negatives, and that's because that was the overwhelming mindset I had been trapped in. The mindset that allowed me to give up. But in actuality, I realized I had a lot going for me too. I had a small group of friends that I grew up with and practically considered brothers. I had a partner who cherished my company and was willing to wait for me and was legitimately celebrating the day I got out. And I had a YouTube show I was very passionate about. Granted, the quality of it was god-awful. I was 15 years old, 11, I think, when I started it. The videos were nothing but 5 frames per second gameplay, looked like screenshots put side by side, and it was all edited in Windows Movie Maker. But I was just so excited to get out and start creating content with my friends again. And, like Tallahassee, I had my Mountain Dew. Each day that I had a moment to myself, each day I was alone with my thoughts in the shower, I remembered what I knew was gone, and remembered what I had at one point in my life. That's when I understood. That's what happiness felt like.